It's great to be here. A very warm namaste and Jojo Lapa to all. A very warm welcome to all the participants here, all the international speakers who have come from, across the seas and actually graced this event. And without spending too much of time, I'd like to call all the panel members to come and, grace the seat here. So first of all, I'd like to call to my right Mr. Ravi Singhal, who actually represents Aleph in Nepal, and he's been a very well-known face in the form representing the digital marketing fraternity of Nepal. So please welcome Mr. Ravi Singhal with a round of applause. Next we have Ms. Asra Bhattarai, who represents Coke and looks after the marketing and heads the marketing department. So please welcome her with a round of applause as well. I don't know if it's a coincidence, but she's wearing red. Next we have Punam Singh, a very popular face in the marketing fraternity. Ms. Punam, please could you come and take your seat. A round of applause for Ms. Punam. Thank you very much. She is with Morang Auto Works and looks after brands like Yamaha and some other new brands that the company has been launching, like some EVs, I guess, right? Thank you. And next I have Mr. Saurav Karanjeet, who is heading the marketing department at Unilever, a very well-known face again, a dear ex-colleague of mine as well. So, Mr. Saurav. And last but not the least, the person with the maximum number of years in marketing in the Nepalese market, Mr. Abhaya Gorkhalee. A round of applause. He represents Dabur Nepal and he heads the marketing department in Dabur Nepal. He has had over 30 years of experience in the marketing field in Nepal. So thank you all the panel members. And before I start off with the panel discussion, let me just tell you that we can take a few questions by the end of the panel discussion, which is at around, maybe we'll be discussing for about an hour or so. So I would request if any member from the audience wants to put up a question, please write it on a piece of paper. Our team will collect those questions, select a few relevant ones because we may not have time to answer all the questions. So we will take up a few questions randomly and then we'll try to answer. And maybe the panel will, try to give the best answers possible. So without wasting any further time, let me start off with the panel discussion. And today we are here to discuss about a very crucial, it's a very broad topic as well, but there are some specific elements within that topic which is of prime concern for all people within the marketing fraternity today. I think some of the things could trickle down to international level also, but from a Nepalese perspective, these issues are very, very important. So first of all, let me tell you that we are talking about the branding or the brandscape, the word that, Brands and Beyond, or the word that BrandGuff has coined for this event, the brandscape in terms of Nepal and how it has evolved over a period of time, how it is going on, and how do you think it should evolve in the years to come, and how it can be an element or a field of, encouragement, a field of career, a field of innovation for the years to come. Okay, so my first question goes out to Mr. Gorkhalee. Like I said, is the most senior one, and I think he should be able to give a very clear idea of how the marketing and branding ecosystem has evolved, over your career of 30 years and 30 years plus and still going on. How do you think the marketing ecosystem has evolved, how it has impacted primarily the branding ecosystem in Nepal?
Good evening, everyone. Thanks, Kashyap, for this question. Yeah, as you have rightly said that, I've got around 30 years work experience in marketing and sales, business development profession. So as the question comes, like how the branding and the marketing ecosystem has evolved in last 30 years, I would say with my experience, it has evolved and it has become more and more complex. I remember the days in 1994 when I started my career as a brand officer or a marketing officer then in Surat, Nepal. The life was so simple for us, We had, if you see that, we had the billboards all that metal sheet. The painter used to paint it. Agency would have given one static page, then they paint it. If you talk about the media landscape then, for the branding, if we use the media, I mean, it was so simple that time. You know, we had probably one radio in Nepal, probably, you know, I don't know, half of these, you know, participants in this room probably might not be, you know, remembering those 30-year-old back, you know, stuffs that I'm talking. We had one publication, probably this government-owned publication, Gorkha Patra, and probably Rising Nepal was also there in English. And then probably one television channel, Nepal Television. So, you know, life was pretty easy. You have some money, you call the agency, you have one television, one radio station, billboard, one design will come, the painter will paint it. From those days, today, now we have come. I find it pretty difficult, but I'm probably a, I mean, what do you call that? You know, someone who started working in 1994. So that was the landscape. You know, we had very few limited options. So you don't have to apply your brain. The challenges probably used to get that spot at 7 o'clock, 7 in the morning, news, you know, before news spot, or the headline break in the Radio Nepal spot, or some billboards in, you know, major cities. Today, I would say, with this, you know, emerging digital platform, the life has become pretty complex and interesting. And I would say the branding, how it has changes, marketing getting more and more fragmented. You see, I will give you another example. If it was a toothpaste during my days in early 90s or mid 90s, it was so simple. There was some local brand called Everest toothpaste or Forans or probably Binaka or Sibaka, that's it. You go to any modern trade store today, Bhatbatini or anywhere, you see the toothpaste, you know how many toothpaste you have. So that's how the market has evolved. I would say we have to pamper the consumers. You just can't do the communication. You just can't create the awareness by some media campaign and then try to woo them, because it's fragmented so much. So you have to delight them. I'm giving you the example of toothpaste. You go to a store here in Kathmandu, you see probably at least 30 brands and, you know, probably 90 SKUs or more than 100 SKUs. So the way I say it, the market has fragmented. You know, the consumers, we have to delight them. You know, I would say it might not be the pampering, might not be the right word in this platform, but I myself say that we have to pamper the consumers. You know, that the better word would be the delighting the consumers. And then the branding landscape, as I've said, it was pretty simple. You know, gradually few medias have come, and then few more prints. The tabloids probably in the early 2000 was another, you know, I mean, in the print landscape, it has come. Today, the digital. You have so many things. In my days, the old days, you make one campaign and probably that was sufficient enough for 3 years. Today, the content creation, the content today, you know, tomorrow, that's still, you need to have a fresh content. You know, you have to keep the consumers engaged in what you want to communicate. So, I mean, this is, you know, something I see how the branding and marketing landscape in Nepal has evolved over last 30 years.
Okay. Punam, I just like you to elaborate a little bit. You know, it would not be wrong if I call you the new age marketer in the Nepalese market, right? So, with the recent developments, you know, with the recent innovations, you know, what is your perspective regarding the change in branding and marketing ecosystem? You know, what are the new things that you have experienced? How do you think it has helped? Or there could be some cons also. You know, there could be some negative aspects which you think should be removed or which should not be there. So how do you explain this thing?
Thank you, Kashyap. Adding on to what Abhaya had to say, yes, rightly said, I'm the new age marketeer right now. But even when I started my journey in 2008, it was not the digital world, you know. It was still, Facebook was still taking the front seat in Nepali market. Facebook was yet not the marketing tool for us. Yes, we were more acquainted towards it because we were the ones using it for the sake of fun. But over the last 15 years of my career, when I trace it back, the world has changed to the level where it's not a seller market anymore, it's a buyer's market. You have to understand your customer to the core. You have to do a lot of research. You have to do a lot of, back-end study. Even when you are doing digital marketing, which is the thing for today, many say that, you know, it's a disruptor, AI is going to disrupt. What I see is it's just one more necessity added, and technology is the addition to our necessity. It is not the disruptor as such. Tomorrow something else will come. However, it's more about the core where the thought process has changed. The thought process is now understand your customer better, give them what they want, go in depth with what they're looking for. They ask for creative concepts now. They don't go for a plain ad with, there are a lot of creative people over here. I believe they would agree that they would not be interested to look at an ad with a simple picture and a body copy, a very straightforward headline. A lot of intrigue is required. The simple example that I would like to give is, recently, if you look at the evolving of the adscape, a couple of years back, there was this fresh breath of air that I call. There was an ad for Yeti vodka. A much talked about ad, which for a change, a teaser was there without a single logo or a single indicator as to which brand it is, Whether fraternity or outside the fraternity, whatever you were talking, everybody was like, even though it was still in print, everybody was like, what is this Yeti? Who's this Yeti? Is it some beer company, given the, association with the beers? Or is it something new? It was such an amazing campaign, but it lost halfway through, in my opinion, because they were not able to integrate.
Okay.
In past, it was, as rightly said, one campaign could go to 3 years, and you just had to use one television channel, one newspaper, one most likely, couple of other aspects. But now it is more about taking everything together. You can't just live in isolation. Old age technology is not out of the window yet. So you have to be there, but at the same time, you have to integrate. If only that campaign had integrated on the BTL level, if there was a Yeti roaming around somewhere, or if there was a campaign talking out loud that, spot the Yeti, and on the digital you get through the activations, that campaign would have been a major success for this market. I personally feel that, though they were able to touch points with the customer with the innovation and the creativity, integration is where they lost. So looking at it in last 15 years, when I evaluate, I see the landscape has changed, the ecosystem has changed. It's all about how you're going to take the entire mediums together, how you're going to move forward, but at the same time, you have to resonate with your customers. You have to understand what their need is. Then only you'll be able to stand out.
Okay, this just gives me a new thought about, like if you said that a vodka brand comes up with a fantastic Yeti campaign and does all the teasers very well, creates a lot of buzz around the market. Why do you think the continuity or the integration part, the brand or the team missed out on it? Is there some, could it be an internal problem? Could it be an external problem? Could it be a problem at the policy level? Could it be a problem at the budget level? Or could it be a problem at the creativity level? What do you say? What do you think?
I think creatively they did a very good job if I look at it. But if I look at from the broader perspective, from an outsider's perspective, maybe it is towards the decision makers' thought process about integration. Because we still live in the world, whether we like it or not, it is very difficult to convince the traditional mindset about the new age technology. We all struggle with that every day. We have to go back to our bosses and tell them that, you have to spend over here because this is where you get the result. This is how it should be done. You have to constantly hammer it to them. So maybe that was where they missed out. Maybe they didn't see the broader picture. They were probably not able to understand that, just having one initiator, which is very interesting, is not the long-term goal of the brand. Everything else is secondary. The product, the pricing, and everything comes later. But you were able to grasp the attention only for a short time. It was an amazing campaign, but they lost it in between. And maybe it was more of a decision maker's point of view rather than a creative side of things.
I think we can take that as a very important learning for the Nepalese market, right? So from the things you just mentioned, I'll just pick out 2 words. Okay, one is the Facebook part, which is again just a part of the overall ecosystem again, and the other is the research part. I'll come back to the research part. So when we take that Facebook thing, I still remember 15, 20 years back when Facebook was just budding, or when it had just started and when we had just opened up our first accounts, there was a time when we as marketers were looking into the prospect of Facebook as a marketing platform, right, which is very, very big today. So in this area, I think, I would ask Ravi, being a person from the digital marketing fraternity and, very corely involved in it, what do you have to say regarding the digitalization of marketing activities in today's context? Because there's a lot of debate going on, Some people are saying that traditional media is still working. Some people are saying, no, the whole world is going digital. There's a debate going on. So what do you have to say on that?
Thank you. Very good question. So I think we should not get into a debate where marketing has changed or not. I think it's more towards the approach, and it's more towards where the audience is. Marketing is marketing, right? You, it's the same thing. You're just doing the same thing at a different platform which works differently. So digital has not, changed the way, like Abhaya was mentioning, like there was only one television, one radio, and marketers could easily get to that, media and advertise their products. Now there are multiple options, right? So you need to know where your audience is, and you need to know what they're looking for, and you just cater the same stuff. I mean, yes, the mediums have changed. From a static image, now videos came, and then now reels are there. Now tomorrow there might be something else. But the core of marketing is like to understand your consumer and cater on their needs. That has not changed. For me, as a digital marketer for last 15 years, I've been doing the same. Whatever I've learned from my seniors, a lot of seniors sitting here, it's just like adaptation of what was done before to the new age tech. And like Punam said, it's like, tech is not a new way, it's just an enabler. The process is the same. It will get you results faster, but it's just an enabler. You will have to, create those ideas. You'll have to find those ways to get to your consumer. There's no other way. I mean, an AI cannot find you the right customer. If anybody believes here that ChatGPT can find you the right consumer, it's absolutely nonsense. Because if a human has not thought of what or how to find the right consumer, the AI will not be able to give you an answer. Try to do a ChatGPT of an idea where you want to launch a smartphone in space. You will not get that idea in ChatGPT because nobody has done it. So the AI cannot pick these ideas from the cloud and cater to you. So the human brain needs to work, and the marketing brain needs to work. Channels can be different.
Okay. So, like I said, I just picked up the second word, which is research. And when we talk about research, I'd like to again go back to Abhaya. So, Abhaya, what are your thoughts on the word research when it comes to marketing? Because again, it's a very debatable issue. There are lots of thoughts when it comes to research, and some say that research is very important. Some people may think research may not be necessary for a small market like Nepal. Maybe the money that you are spending is just an expense and not an investment. What are your thoughts?
Now, I mean, I'm not the professor to give you the definition of research, but the way I, see research is, I'll try to put a academic perspective also, the way I take it. Research, any information that we have on the table, so you want to add some more information on it is research, the way I understand it. So now, coming to the Kashyap's question, how important is the research, how we do that? As I've said earlier also, how this marketing and branding landscape has evolved, I've said, we need to delight the consumer. Let me not use the pampering the consumer, again and again. That might not sound that good. But when the market is so fragmented, and again, I will give the example of a toothpaste, as I say that 120 SKUs and probably 40 brands is lying in the modern trade for the consumers to come and pick it up. So I mean, how can you sell a toothpaste with 30, 40 brands and all that? How would you develop the product? The way I understand, with my belief, I might not be right all the time, or there might be some better way to see it. What I say is that the insights, again, I'll come to the consumer insights. What is consumer insights? You have to know your TG, the target group, right? The consumers, the entire universe. You segment it, and then this is the target that I want. So you define the target market, you define the target audience or the target consumer, and then you know about that target consumer. How do you know about it? Everybody would brush their teeth in the morning, and probably half of the Nepalese would brush their teeth in the evening also. So probably everybody knows that. So is that sufficient enough to launch one more brand in the market? No. So I would say somebody might be wanting to have a freshness like Saurav sells it, the close-up freshness with the youth, I mean like, the couple getting closer and then give the fresh breath and all. Somebody might value that, but somebody might value the Ayurvedic product. Oh no, freshness is okay. Every toothpaste will make my breath fresh, but I want something which is herbal, which works on my teeth. It's got some natural ingredients. Then the Dabur paste might come there, right? So then somebody says, okay, no, Dabur Red, too herbal, this natural ingredients, freshness. No, I need some white, toothpaste which makes my teeth white. Probably the Pepsodent comes in, right? So the research comes in to sharpen your consumer insights. When the market is fragmented so much, when there is a fierce competition, even in the oral care category, probably 30 years back, what is toothpaste? Daat majne ho, daat sabha गर्ने हो, सिद्धि, किराले नखाने हो. That's it. Cavity, you brush your teeth. I'll repeat it in English for the the international speaker that we have in the hall. You brush your teeth to keep your teeth clean and probably protect yourself from cavity. It was as simple as it was 30 years back when I was 40 years back, I would say, when I was a little kid. Today, no. Consumers say, I don't want this freshness, man. Give me something with the clove and all that, I don't want this chemical kind of stuff. I need the herbal stuff. Probably Dabur might have thought 40 years, 50 years back and then launched the Dabur Red toothpaste. And then there comes Sensodyne, right? They might have understood the consumer so well. Probably I have a sensitive teeth. I can't go to the dentist every now and then. So somebody's come up, they had the insights. Again, they might have gone to the research agency, or they might have done a thorough research. They might have found out that, X percentage of my consumers are looking for the sensitive teeth issue. So is there anything to develop a product? They might have gone to the drawing board, talked to the scientists, developed the product accordingly. So research in any stage of our marketing career or the marketing talks, probably I would be the guy, in this market. I'm not saying I'm not only the guy. I would be one of very few guys who would trust and believe in the market research to sharpen my insights about consumer. Or it could be about different. It might not be the only consumer. Sometimes it could be the trade. Traders are not keen to sell my product. Again, the research comes in. My sales guys will say, I need this extra margin because Pepsodent is giving this or 1+1. How would I sell my Dabur Red, right? That happens. Then you go to the trade. You can do the research with the traders also. Understand them. Why are they not trying to sell my product, or why are they pushing my competition brand? So you do the research. So unfortunately, I would say we had a international agency a few years back. Yes, we have pretty competent research agencies also. I would also say to make us convince the advertisers or the companies that the research is important. I would say, I'm not only us, the agencies, few friends from the agencies who are here in this hall, they should also try to make an effort to convince the clients, boss, research chahiye. You need to do the research. In our world, Kashyap, somebody comes with the research proposal, probably despite having so much of faith and belief in market research, half the time I might say, choda yaar, kati paisa? How much is that? 1 million. Forget, man, launch it. I can make a mistake. Let's launch it. 20 lakh, 15 lakh for research. And then they will tell me not to do this. Yeah, chodo yaar, kar do. Let's launch it, So half the time, despite having the faith in research also, we also make decisions like that. Oh, it's going to cost this much. Probably somebody else will also ask me, do you think, Gorkhalee, it's worth enough to spend, 15 lakh for this, small decision? Kar lo na yaar, nahi hoga to dekh lenge. That attitude is still there. So, thanks.
So, let me just slightly add on to this, because this is, a very important perspective. So, let me look at it from Saurav's point of view. And one interesting thing is, like, all four members, except for Ravi, are working for multinational brands like Dabur, Unilever, Yamaha, etc., and Coca-Cola, and yours also actually is an international franchisee kind of a thing, right? So, even if we talk about it from a research perspective, is it only the MNCs in Nepal who are doing research, or there are some of the local brands, or even financially very sound companies who still are not convinced with the research? So, is there a divide because the companies are local and MNCs? Is it the international, the international tradition that has come in, or is it the internal management that decides, or, depending upon the budget and everything? What do you say?
So I have 2 points on this. First is, the difference between a local company and an MNC. MNC normally tries to have research and every little pieces, right from the consumer making its decision to buy a product to the feedback loop after the consumer has purchased the product. MNCs tries to put a research piece in every bit of it. But the cost of doing research is pretty high. So again, coming back to Abhay's dilemma on whether do I launch a product without doing research is a very, very valid point. And comes to MNC as well. And going back to a local company, wherein he will or she will also have the same dilemma, it's across the board, it's across the industry. But the main important point over here is, where do I invest my money behind research, right? If I am to launch a product, that's where I need to invest my money behind research. If my product is not doing well, if my comms are not doing well, that is maybe the avenue that I need to invest on research. So depending on where your product gap or the gap between your positioning and the brand identity, you need to invest behind research. And the pain point is across, be it MNC or be it local agency, local companies, it's across.
Okay, Asra, your thoughts on this?
Adding to what just Sauravji said, I have worked with both local and global companies, as you know, and one of the core differences, except for wanting to spend on research or not, that MNC and local companies have, is that local companies don't also know what exactly they want to do. Like, if you say maybe internet, they do not know whom I'm targeting and what I'm trying to portray myself as. Then what do you research? So there is a gap over there too. If you're not clear on that as a brand manager, how am I going to convince my management that you need to now go and research? So I see the gap over there. So not being able to understand oneself is where the research need is lacking from, except for the budget part. So yeah, that would be my insight.
Has digitalization, tried to cover up the gap regarding whether you want to do research or not, or availability of free data maybe?
I think digital is where a lot of problems that my fellow panelists raised is getting resolved. So, like for all of you, like I represent Google in Nepal, and we have a company who is doing immense research on Nepal market, and it's publicly available. I think it's also about a lot of awareness in the brands and marketing fraternity in Nepal, where that data is available. So if you ask me about vertical trend report for any of the verticals that we have in Nepal, we'll be able to give it to you free of cost, and that is where you can save a lot of cost, right? So it's also a lot to do with you're eager to understand these data and eager to implement these data for your brand. So a lot of cost can be saved. You can reach out to us. We are here in Kathmandu now. So, we can help.
Okay. So, looking at all the four persons' views on research and, all the budgetary constraints and stuffs like that, convincing your top management or the owner of the business, it definitely comes in as a challenge in today's context. That's what I conclude from this. So, coming to the part of challenges, I'll just lead this topic. When we look at it from a challenge point of view, see, Nepal is a country where we have lots of challenges. There are so many physical challenges, There's a heavy rain and the roads are a challenge, right? There's an earthquake, the whole market is shut down for 2 months, right? There's COVID, the market is down for 2 years, 3 years. So a lot of challenges, There's trade problems, and again the market is closed. There's petrol problem, there used to be electricity problem. So so many physical challenges unavoidable. But apart from that, if, for example, in today's context, if everything is managed for, the government is providing electricity, the roads are okay, the infrastructure is being developed. Apart from that, how do we look at some challenges, specific challenges, which you think is impacting the branding fraternity and the marketing fraternity and the overall, economic activities in Nepal? I think Saurav and Abhaya, I would like to, Saurav, what are your thoughts on this?
Speaking of challenges, be it for an MNC or for any other local company, right? So a few things that I would like to gaze upon. One thing is, the brand building process itself. Where I'm coming from is, being from an MNC where they understand the need of brand building is not a short-term gain. It's a long-term gain, right? it's a painstaking process of 5, 6, or more than 6 years where a brand is built. It's not built overnight, just like we say, Rome was not built in a day. Brand is not built in a year, 2 or 3. It takes a lot of pain, a lot of effort, you know. And it's a process where you need to nurture the brand, where you need to speak the language in a tone of voice the brand speaks, understand the personality of the brand, and be consistent throughout these years with maybe distinctive brand assets that the brand carries, to the comms or communication that the brand carries. And the challenge over here is, you know, a lot of Nepalese companies are very, very inconsistent in carrying out these distinctive assets throughout their brand journey. I'll give you an example. I've worked with multinationals, I've worked with local companies, I've worked with different companies. And there are many stakeholders that come into play. I'm sure Kashyap will also agree, right? We'll have different versions of where the brand should, focus on. Be it a hunch, be it a fad, be it someone telling you on the face that you're not doing the right things, right? So from a brand marketing perspective or a brand manager perspective, that has to be very, very consistent across the years. The tonality, the language you speak, yeah, the consumers you target, the personality you carry as a brand has to be very, very consistent. The intervention of the multi-stakeholders has to stop somewhere. What is that? Another is the innovations, right? A lot of MNCs carries these innovations, and it's very easy for MNCs to carry innovations because that has already been done in some other countries, maybe in product, in promotions, in packaging. It's very easy to lay out the same thing over here and roll it across. But the important thing over here is local marketing managers or local marketing teams has to understand the context over here. Again, I'll give you an example. There is a Japanese luxury brand called Muji. Do you think that brand will work in Nepal? I don't think so. It's already a laughing stock in some of the members, right? So it has to be localized. Now, the global or local context might not be the right aspiration over here. It has to be localized in some way or the other, right? Another example on localization. In recent times, what you've seen in noodles and snacks industries, for example, there has been a lot of innovations, be it in packaging, product, right? Flavors of the product, the occasion-based products. And you see the exponential growth that the industry has carried forward. And who has gained the share in the pie? Who has gained the market share? It's the innovators, it's the market makers, right? It's the front runners. So innovation is the one lacking point between an MNC or a local person. Another factor is definitely the interest in marketing itself. So how I have felt over the years, in my journey is the interest in marketing has gone down a bit. You go to any business school, you'll find it very difficult for students to be accompanied or be in the faculty of marketing. I've been asked to come and give lecture in different colleges, especially top-notch business schools, where I've been invited not to give lecture in marketing, but to convince the students to come on board as marketing faculty. So you see that? Because marketing is ever evolving. Unlike finance or HR, where the theory stands for 100-odd years, marketing is not that. It's always evolving. The theory that we studied through Philip Kotler maybe 15 years ago might or might not stand. There are persons like Byron Sharp, which talks about penetration, driving the market share, which is completely against what we have learned so far. So that's the change. That's the change that needs to be built in the curriculum of business schools. Make it contemporary. Make it future fit. That's the key word over here. Make it future fit, contemporary, and maybe collaborate with MNCs, collaborate with government agencies, collaborate with governments across the world, which will bring in more risk takers, innovators, creative minds, aspiring students to the marketing fraternity. And the last point I'd like to highlight over here is there are more than 1 million people leaving the country, be it permanently or semi-permanently, going as an aspiring students to different university colleges, as a skilled worker, as a semi-skilled worker, and I'm sure a lot of those heads is creating a vacuum in the marketing ecosystem, which needs to be filled. And the responsibility lies in each of us, each one of us here in the room, that we need to fill that vacuum. give these guys, give these aspiring students or marketing brains the opportunity to stay over here by creating and making marketing lucrative and attractive again.
Okay, again, I'll pick out two words and I'll come back on the second word. Firstly, I'd like to ask Mr. Abhaya to just shed a little bit of light on this particular the idea of challenge, because over 30 years, like he said, the challenge before used to be having a hoarding board properly painted by the painter by the date of the launch. Okay, that the challenge used to be that. In today's context, the challenge is in front of my laptop, and I'm talking about my consumers and reach and impressions and conversions and spending and ROIs and etc. So how do you see the evolution of challenges in the Nepalese market?
Kashyap, we talked about the research in length. Probably half of us are now convinced that research is needed. If somebody is still not yet convinced the market research is needed, I will just tell you the product that the international market has, and we don't have it in Nepal. My folks in Delhi, or my colleagues in Delhi, they're surprised. They ask me that, "Kaise kaam karte yaar Gorkhali? You don't have anything, Karte kaise kaam?" Neither we have any media measurement system here. Anyone can come and claim that I'm the number one because my satellite is the best. And I said, okay, we're not looking for satellite, we're looking for the viewership. So we don't have a media measurement. And we have a household penetration system. Measurement is not there in Nepal. That can exactly tell you, I think the Kantar does that, probably Ujay can correct me. Kantar does that. It is available in India and in all developed market. It will exactly tell you, suppose let me take a brand real juice, right? It will give me the monthly report, how many household has a real juice, in their homes. July is 33%. Now August, the penetration has come to 26%. The research will give me that 7% lapsers has gone to your Coke, or they have gone to somebody else's juice, or they have started getting the fresh juice. That research will give us that data, And we don't know that, what kind of the stuff or the information, the research can give us. यो हामीले बुझेकै छैन यार, थाहै छैन, हैन? मैले पनि 5 वर्ष अगाडि, I didn't know this when I started my career, probably it was not there. I mean, it gives you the exact data. Now it will give you that 6% lapsers are 35 to 42-year-old woman or 24 to 26-year-old woman who are more health conscious, now who are going for a fresh juice. And then the new agers, out of that, 36, 3% are new entrants, huh? Who are they coming from now? See what kind of information we can get from the market research. This is Kantar's, I think, proprietary tool. They call it household penetration. It gives such a beautiful data. Then you and me sitting in the office can decide, okay, I'm losing my, penetration. I'm losing my consumers to brand X, and I'm getting my consumers from brand Y. Then we know, is my product all right? Is there anything that we need to tweak in the product? Or is there anything that we need to tweak in the distribution strategy or the promotion strategy? This is the household penetration thing. And another retail measurement stuff which we had till 2020 and we don't have it in this market, that will exactly give you your brand's availability, across Nepal. Obviously, they have a statistically proven statistical tool, proven in the world, not only in Nepal or India or this subcontinent. They will come and tell you every month, this particular brand is not available in Eastern market. In Japa, your distribution, your brand availability has come down from 45% to 25%, boss. Then I talk to my sales guy, what's wrong with it? He might tell you, yes, sir, we had a problem with the stockist. Yeah, oh, boss, we had a problem with the dealer there in that, I don't have 2 sales officers in that particular area. Or no, competition is so aggressive there. The competition stockist has come new one with a hell of a lot of energy. They are giving all this promotion and all that. We have nothing like today. Neither I have my distribution data, nor I have my market share data. You know how I make my market share? I have become a Nielsen here now. I decide the market share data. But this karna hai, karo na yaar, growth dekho. See the growth? Okay, I'm growing at 12%. Industry, do you think the oral care must be growing at 12%? No. I talk to a few of the industry friends. I call him sometimes, how is your growth? He will say, lower single digit. Okay, I'm growing double digit. Badalo 2%. My market share should be, now 50 basis point gone up. And then my bosses ask me that, how to do this, Gorkhali? Market intelligence, right for, I don't have to tell him everything. Market intelligence, boss. We know the Colgate's data, import figure. We know how, Lever is doing or Patanjali is doing. So my point is research, the lack of research has kept us in the darkness. It is like, if you remember probably when I was a little kid, 40, 45 years back, how would the doctor, give you the prescribe the medicine? Maximum, most of you, I don't know how much, they would go, they would check the patient, they would use the stethoscope, they'll ask you to breathe it long, this, that, and they'll prescribe medicine. Today, they will ask you 20 tests, do this blood test, that is probably, they will be able to, identify the right problem
Pinpoint.
and give you the right, treatment. Same that, we are operating in that stethoscope and then, do that or do this. Oh, okay, all right. I think your chest infection is there. Some antibiotics needed. We are working like that today. So because we don't have research, and we all are responsible for this. I cannot raise my finger towards, any of my colleagues or any of the agency guys or any of them. We are jointly responsible for that. Are we encouraging this system to come in? Somebody doesn't understand that. Are we trying to make them understand these are the research tools? The world is already using it. It is available next door, but not in Nepal. Why is that? But it will come at the cost again. I will tell you, it's going to cost us 30 lakh for a category or something like that. But still, it makes sense to have at least some sort of research, data, then exactly which string to pull, where to invest money. Kashyap, am I in the right direction?
Yeah, I think after this particular short discussion regarding the challenges and research being challenges, all I'd like to say to the audience is, I think it's high time we move the word research from challenge to, the SWOT diagram, from challenges to opportunities, and maybe move it to the strength part in the long run. I think that's what I conclude from this discussion. So again, talking about challenges, especially in Nepal, maybe some Southeast Asian or South Asian countries could be facing this problem. It's a problem of migration, and like Saurav just said, there's an issue of people going out, and there's another issue of making people interested in marketing and taking marketing as a career. As an adjunct faculty in a college, I face that problem as well. Because when I go and do a small research within a class, why have you joined or why have you taken the marketing specialization? At least 4 to 5 out of 10 students come and say, because I'm scared of finance or I'm scared of numbers. And marketing is a theoretical subject. And when I start giving them the idea of how numerical marketing is, when I show them the Excel sheets that I work in, then they are confused. I think I came to the wrong field. So, tackling the primary problem of, or considering the primary problem of migration, students, a lot of youngsters, a lot of Gen Zs, or I don't know, the new generation of Gen Alpha, all again very, very motivated to leave this country and go elsewhere, Australia, Canada, US, even Germany, Europe, okay. How do you think this has impacted? Has it really impacted? Or if it has, how has it impacted? Or do you think it hasn't impacted at all? Or the marketing fraternity is growing the way it should? What do you say? I think Saurav, can you elaborate a little bit on that? For that, I'll come to Punam also, because again, you're working with a lot of new people in the market, young people. So how does that impact?
I'll first go to the agency part and then come to the company part. Okay. So, agency over a period of time has become a breeding ground for creative geniuses, right? Without taking names, there were creative heads of agencies which used to pitch us plan, develop integrated campaigns, and which we used to run for 2-3 years uninterrupted, and which led us to brand growth. Now what has come across is the lack of manpower in the agency front also hitting us very, very hard. Where I'm coming from is you develop a person, develop a creative person, develop a client-side person over a year, over 2. By the time he is mature and able to understand the brand, give us the right output, he is already mature enough to go to a different geography or a different demography, to a different country for a different kind of role. So that's where the vacuum has been created. And coming back to the company side, like we are facing difficulty in recruiting the right person from B school. time and again, we'll have to go back to the same old marketing fraternity, look for the right person to pick as a brand manager or a marketing manager or a media manager. And over time, the space or the person who are working in marketing has evaded over to other fields, like you said, to marketing, to finance, to entrepreneurship, to startups, or whatever. So the whole marketing fraternity or ecosystem is shrinking a bit, and that's where we as marketeer, we as creative heads, we as marketing solution providers has to come across and give them the right platform to brighten up, to make their career out of it. And at the end of the day, if you look at various multinational companies or even companies here in Nepal, the CEOs, the big guns, are coming from marketing only. It's not the finance guys that leads the CEO role, right? It's the marketing guys or the sales guys who knows inside out. They know the consumer pulse. They know the marketing industry, markets, everything, right? They go up as a CEO, not your finance guy, not your HR guy, not your accounts guy. So ultimately, marketing is the field that will leverage you up to the highest level of a company or any other organization.
So Punam, have you felt that crunch when it comes to, not only from your perspective, but definitely you may be having an internal team, but you are also working with intermediaries like agencies, even financial intermediaries. So how do you evaluate the present situation of getting proper human resources in the field of marketing?
As rightly said by Saurav, it's a struggle. It's a struggle when you're looking for a brand manager or when you're looking for a marketing officer at this point of time when the youth is not there in the country, And I'm from a sector where, say for even an automobile, I might be with the EVs as well, with the cars as well, but when it comes to motorcycles, we predominantly target our products to the youth. Yamaha is known for being a youthful brand. It has always been a brand which is more sportier, more youthful, and more towards the power-driven side of the technology, right? Which is basically for the youth. And looking at that perspective, not just finding a manpower, finding your target group has become a struggle for us. The reason the industry itself is shrinking, we are seeing the shrink year by year in the two-wheeler industry, right? That's because TG itself is not there. If a couple of years back, I would be targeting my particular segment of bike to the youth of 18 to 25. If I look at 1 year of data of the research team which works in-house for me, my target group is completely different now. It's from 25 to 40. It's not 18 to 25. Okay. I'm targeting the same product to the much older audience for whom it is a different game altogether. For them, it's not about power or the look. For them, it's about the utility. Whereas our product itself is made for power and this type. So this movement of manpower, as we were having a conversation while Mr. Menon was giving his presentation about the endangered species, we, in a very lighter note, said that in Nepal, the endangered species is youth and not animals. Because every day you go to the airport, you see lots of youth leaving. You don't have a target group now. You don't have people to fill in the vacant positions. You don't have people to, help you out for any outsourced job as well. Forget about anything else. We have service centers. We do require the workers who are technically trained. We are ready to give them training. We are ready to give them everything. But where is the manpower? We don't have that. That's one of the biggest challenges apart from anything else, I believe. Manpower is a must for all of us, and we don't have it right now.
To sell and to work as well. Yeah, Asra, could you add some?
Let us also look at the solutions, I would say. The problem we understand, people are leaving. Or people are not interested in the field of marketing. Why is that? Is it that Nepal does not have an opportunity? I'm asking that question to every one of you. All of you are here in Nepal, 170 plus people in this room. And is it that we don't have opportunity? No, that's not the case. But it has been, the brand of Nepal has been shaped as such that there's no opportunity. Same with marketing. See, I am where I am because that was my passion and I studied that, right? I developed my, let us create those role models in this field. Let us show that our country has some opportunity as well. And when it comes to the TG, people who are buying, I think with people traveling as brand, I would say we should also realize that most of them are not traveling for studies. They're traveling for earning, and they're sending back money. Right? More people traveling also means that they're spending more in the market right now. Like Punam rightly pointed out, maybe it's not 18 to 25, but it's 25 plus. I think we should, as brand marketers, we should understand that and work likely. So I think those are the solutions we should work towards.
I think this is one issue where I'd like Ravi also, and actually all the members to have some thoughts on this. So Ravi, what do you have to say on this?
I think I'm sorry, but I beg to differ here with everybody. And I agree with Asra here. I think we need to ask ourselves, what are we doing for it? I mean, everybody's leaving, right? So as agencies, as MNCs, as startup, as companies, how many marketing interns you have in your company? What is your policy? Like, you're looking for a qualified marketer in your company, but you don't want to invest even 6 months on a candidate? I mean, that is also a kind of challenge that we have in our society. And I'm happy these youths are leaving. Me being youth, if there's an opportunity, I would grab it. I wouldn't waste my, 10 or 15 years of my life on an ecosystem which is not willing to give. If you're not willing to give, you don't expect results from the market. So I think as companies, you need to come up with programs where you are able to educate people, you are able to train people, and let them go and let them grow. And then they will eventually come back.
Okay.
But most of, and I'm speaking for myself and the companies that I have been part of, we've experienced that there's a very, very strong holdback in terms of, letting the information out to your, juniors or your interns, because you are in a fear where they will learn and they will go somewhere. Let them go. Because once they go, once they experience something, out of your brand, outside, they will eventually come back and settle down to your company or somebody else's company. But Nepal is going to grow. So I think it's a very personal question. I could have got an opportunity and I could have gone out of the country, but I think we all need to focus on how we can give back to this country. And we as company, we run this program called Digital Ad Expert, where everybody in Nepal is allowed to do education in terms of digital advertising, free of cost. We certify them. So it's a small initiation that we have taken, but I think every company need to start that, and I will be happy to be freely available as a coach. I'll be happy to contribute. I think it's time we start focusing on how can we contribute rather than crying over. I mean, as marketers, we are like expert of everything. Like you said, like it's not only marketing, it's also data science, it's also advertising, it's also finance. You need to know. So we are also an expert of having the mindset of crybaby. So let's forget that mindset and let's move to a mindset where we start talking about how we can contribute to Nepal and how we can contribute to advertising and marketing fraternity in Nepal.
Okay. So, like I said, I just picked up two words. One was the challenge part, one was the human resource part, and the other word that I was supposed to come back to was the innovation part. Now, if you really look into the innovation part, it has become very crucial. If we look at innovation, the life of innovation has also shortened today. Before an innovation would come, stay in the market for a few years, it would be called a disruptor, and it would continue as a disruptor for a longer period of time. Today, there's disruption every day. Every morning you wake up, there's something new. One day I woke up, there was ChatGPT. Another day I woke up, there was DALL-E. Another day, I think some video making thing. Google has come up with I don't know what do you call it? Google
Gemini?
AI? No, there's another. Gemini or something. Yeah, Gemini, something like that. Okay, so the disruption part and the innovation part has it's elaborate, it is mushrooming, and the lifespan has also shortened. So the challenge is, personally also what I feel is, in today's context, the youth, the fraternity, the markets, the clients, the agencies, the intermediaries, everybody is very well exposed to international media or international happenings. Today, if some incident happens, or I can even listen to a presidential debate happening in US live, sitting here. Before 20 years back, maybe that was not possible. I would have actually had to wait for the news and look at the snippets of that particular debate. Today, we can look at an Apple launch live, and that's one of the biggest events for the brand, right? So in that case, we are very much exposed to what is happening internationally. But are we able to cope up in the Nepalese market along with what is happening outside? If yes, how are we doing it? What are the things that we are doing it? What are the best practices that we are taking from the international market? If not, where do we lack? How can we compensate for that? I think I'll start with Abhaya on this one. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks Kashyap once again. And I think this global trend, all these things, news passing fast, what exactly is happening in New York or what's happening in London the moment it happens there. My point is with this disruption and then innovation and all that, sometimes, what I feel is, I might not be correct all the time. With this global trend, all these kind of things, yes, you need to be updated. You need to see the global trends and all that. Sometimes with this, emerging trend or the global trend and all, we tend to forget the basics, right? I will just give you one example. The innovation or the new product. We call it new product in Dabur. We call it NPDs. And I'll just give you one example that we did sometimes back. The product that we have developed. Probably the category itself, the category that we operate probably might not so very, affect my categories, what's happening in New York or the Yankees are doing in New York or some, Charlies are doing in, London. Of course, we have to evaluate the hair oil category, right? And we have launched one hair oil in 2010. That's Pro Style. It's not there anywhere in the Dabur's, portfolio. It was something we did. The small team in Nepal has done that. And what I did right that time, if I have to, if I get a chance to share with this, the very attentive audience in this hall, we just followed the process. I didn't see, what the Western world is using the hair oils. Probably they might have thought of some different hair oils, First, I try to see the people, do men use hair oil? The Pro Style, by the way, is hair oil for men. This is how we are positioned, It was a very, very bold step. My bosses in Delhi were trying to tell me that, Gorkhalee, does the Nepalese men use hair oil? The 20 logics came. Even if the men use hair oil, they will have a short hair like you. Women would be using 20 ml, you'll be using 2 ml. I said, right, it's all right. 10 times more women will be using. And probably 3x, 3 times more women will be using hair oil, not men, So it means 60 times more hair oil probably is consumed by the, ladies. That's why all the hair oils in the world was, positioned and targeted to the woman. We took a bold step. We did a research, Nielsen was there. We did a research. I went to the field across the country, 2-3 centers I went. I still remember, I didn't just see the report that they have, presented after 2 months. I went, listened to the TG, what they have to say. Then I was convinced men do use hair oil, right? Then I still remember, this was probably, the brand was launched in 2010. This research probably we've conducted sometimes 2008 or late, 2008 or early 9. They say, yeah, they use hair oil very much. Why do they use the hair oil? Not for the cosmetic benefit, to look stylish before they leave their place, before they leave the hostel. Then that's where we came up with this, confidence and style. That's how we position. So again, I'm coming back, Kashyap. So what I'm trying to say is sometimes we forget the basics. Understand the market, understand, segment the consumers, segment the consumers, you target that particular audience, the target audience, and position it the way they want, and develop the product accordingly, The whole thing starts after understanding the consumer. It's not that I have a product ready and I look for the consumers, and I look for the, media vehicles or the positioning plank. No, first understand the consumer. That will give you so much of crystal clear view how your product should be developed, how your product formulation should be there, and what should be your pricing or whatever the packaging. All the decisions will probably fall in track. So coming back to this innovation, today this brand, by the way, which was developed by a small team in Nepal, has become bigger than the brand Dabur Amla Hair Oil. Dabur Amla Hair Oil was launched in 1940, I think. It was launched 84 years back. And, launched by, and Dabur Amla Hair Oil was the first cosmetic brand of Dabur. Because as you know, Dabur was more into the health, Ayurveda and all that. 1940, it was the first cosmetic brand company has developed in India, obviously. Dabur Nepal was not in the existence that time. So in Nepal today, this Pro-Style has become bigger than that Amla. So my bosses in Delhi always say that it's become bigger than Dabur Amla. 84 years of investment in the brand. You have invested 14 years. So what I'm trying to say is, again, in the innovation also, the right innovations and all, you have to have the basics right. You have to understand the, we call it that segmentation, targeting, and all positioning. You segment it, target the right consumer, and you understand them with the sharper insights. Then you position what they want and develop the product. Everything, all 4 P's now: product, pricing, everything should be developed as per the insights that we have. This, I would say, Kashyap, probably, I'm not. The hair oil category itself is something which I might not need to look into the West and then, what are the trends. Probably West would be looking at the hair oils that we develop. As I know, in Dubai, Dabur Dubai, we have an international hub in Dubai. They are also developing a lot of, hair oils and all that. They look back to India or Nepal and then they try to understand and they try to tweak something, make it a little more contemporary or, that Vita all that, technical, that cosmetic kind of stuff they want immediate, effect and all that. So, my point is, when you talk about the disruption and the innovation and all that, yes, you have to keep your antennas on, see what West is doing, what other guys are doing, what competition is doing. But just knowing that competition, you launch garyo, ule yo garyo, thai chaina kina launch garyo, त्यसले त हरियो launch garyo, अब त्यसले त हरियो phone launch garyo, हरियो phone launch, thai chaina, you don't have a clue, why that green phone has been launched. You understand that. So then you find out there's a equal number of people who was wanting orange phone, develop that. That's what I'm trying to say. You have to see the developed market, the Western world. Yes, they're definitely, more evolved and, probably, 10, 20, 30, 40 years ahead of us. Basically, this would be more relevant for the, the technological companies and all that, but for the most of the categories that we operate, we see what's happening in the beverage, category in the US. We see what's happening in what people are saying in the Europe, because that voice will come to Nepal and India after 5 years or 3 years. So, this is something, I wanted to share with this audience about the NPD development experience that I had in, Dabur. Thanks.
So I think it's a very relevant example from product innovation point of view, and I still remember, because I was a part of that particular team for a very short period of time. I still remember those gate documents that Dabur used to have, gate 1, gate 2, gate 3, gate 4, all these are, fat box files, research papers. I think for the first time we even worked with an international agency in Australia. The time differences, it was pretty difficult actually. So that's, yes, makes sense from a product innovation, absolutely makes sense from a product innovation point of view. Go back to the fundamentals. Your market could be a very different market. Your market could be wanting something very, very basic at the moment, Apart from that, beyond that, how do we look into innovation? Sort of from your perspective, how do you look into innovation? So,
innovations, just like Abhaya just mentioned on Pro-Style hair oil, thank you for the insight, because being a market leader in the hair category, especially focusing on the format of shampoo, we are very little focused on hair oil, and the insight that we have given that the hair category for male is expanding, will now also focus on expanding our range. So thank you so much. So coming back to the innovation stage gate model, right? There are a lot of innovations going on, right? Be it at the industry front, be it at the consumer front, be it at the ingredient front, be it at the technology front. One example that I would like to cite over here is, there was a trend going on post-COVID, on uses of natural ingredients on your hair, right? And what we found out was in India, not in Nepal, but India, what we found out was onion, which used to be an ingredient long before shampoo even came into existence, could or is playing a pivotal role in changing the landscape of dandruff or hair fall loss in some of the geographies. So we picked up that from social listening, from Google search trends, especially through India technology, whatever is available. And we launched that brand over here, saying Sunsilk Onion as a variant. And as of now, the brand has grown so much as to our expectation that, it has contributed to the stagnant hair category growth, and it has now become a pivotal part of a hair regime for a female audience. So technology or innovation can be inherited from something, right? It could come from a fad that is there in TikTok, that is there inherent from the historic places or historic ages as a legacy thing. So it's up to you, or it's up to a marketer. How do you pick up that insight, lay that insight into action, develop a product, hit the right consumer benefit, and make a story out of it so that the consumers will, I won't say fall into the trap, but fall into the storytelling modality, and that's where innovation is driven.
Okay. Punam, I think you're dealing with a lot of new age products in the market. So again, that's a different, it should be a different story for you. So
yeah, there's a pressure that whatever I should say should be different, right?
Yeah.
No, for me, innovation is more, I would say, necessity. If there's a necessity, there's going to be innovation. We cannot deny that our market is early adapter to everything, be it fashion, be it technology, be it anything. Nepal, even though it is a very small country geographically, when it comes to adapting to the things, we are much more faster than a lot of other countries. But at the same time, it's not just about product, it's about the technological side of it, it's about the creative side of it as well. Being predominantly from the automobile industry, I would not deny I'm from the FMCG background as well. But if I move away from FMCG sector right now, and if I think from the automobile perspective, the thought of having HOG as one of the Harley's cult group, that was the necessity that the brands over here had to adapt, right? TVS has come up with AOG, Yamaha has the Blue Streaks, Pulsar has Pulsarmania, which was launched by me only at one point. As a necessity, we came up with Pulsar, we came up with something like Pulsar Day Adventure, which actually was able to give us spike in the segment, which was completely new. It was more of a creative innovation rather than a product innovation, or because we don't have any liberty with the product when it comes to automobile. But the fact that, naked bikes were very new when in 2012 it was launched, it was a struggle to make people understand why the bikes are naked. The agility of it, the ease of maneuvering it was something people were not able to understand. Pulsar Day Adventure was probably the innovation that came out of necessity for us. Because when we started thinking about the riding culture, which was not at the forefront in Nepal yet, there were not riding groups. And when we launched it, surprisingly, it did not just give us the rise in the market share, it became a global case study for Bajaj, which was adapted into multiple models all across the world. They have 55 export countries, and in 7 or 8 of them, they have adapted this model. However, they were not able to replicate it because it was more day in, day out, the internal team working on it, and not something that was given to us as a Bible, right? It was in thought process of the fact that, our riders actually need something to interact with. They need to interact more with the brand. They need to interact more with their peer group. And for that reason, we had to start something as different as that. But adaptation, again, is the clubs that we are talking about. We have multiple clubs for the riders. We have multiple clubs for even the four-wheeler groups now. They are driving to the shortest distance. They are having a good, friendship amongst each other. They are there to help and support each other. So innovation is more of a necessity where you adapt it as per your requirement. It is not just in terms of product or ingredient, it is also in terms of technology and in terms of your creative thought process.
Yeah, Asra, again, shed some light from Coke's point of view.
I'll share my experience,
Yeah,
not
sure,
exactly for Coke though.
I just like to add one thing, I find the regular Coke to be one of the most uninnovative product. don't mind because,
Yeah.
you know, nothing has changed. And the surprising part is it still sells. So I think innovation is happening outside of the bottle. So can you just explain how does that work?
See, as marketers, it's not about today or yesterday. You always have to reach your customers, get your message right across, and as your customers are changing, you change your approach also. It does not have to be something you adopt from what's happening from like in the Western world or even our nearest big neighbors. It should like connect with you and your customers, right? And that is where innovation comes in. The hair oil example, that reminded me of a case study that I did when I was a student under Ujay sir's class. And he gave us a case study of studying Imami's market.
Okay.
And the product was hair and care, if I haven't forgotten. Yeah. And rightly, like he said, we found out that in all of the pan shops where hair and care sold, males were buying the product. And we made a prototype advertisement where we showed that male were using it. So males are using hair oil. And that is where we thought, let's show the male in the advertisement when we are presenting in the class, right? Similarly, one example of innovation I would say that I have done. I give this example a lot. I'm very proud of it. When the word influencer wasn't even coined, we were marketing a phone. Sauravji and me were in the same team.
Okay.
And the insight was, like, I was always questioned, why isn't our page having so much engagement as much as this vlogger or this influencer, this celebrity, right? And the insight that I got from that is no one will interact with a brand, but probably they will interact with a celebrity. So we went to a celebrity's page and we posted about our phone, her holding the phone. And it got so much engagement that we would never imagine in our page. And that isn't what I adopted from what happened in the West world. That came from my understanding of my customer and my understanding of what I need to communicate to the customer, right? 6 months after I did that, I heard Coca-Cola, my current company, took Selena Gomez as an influencer. I never was even exposed to that concept. Okay. So if you know your customer, where they are right now, what you want to communicate, if you're clear about those things, the innovation will come from inside. And about adopting what others are doing, as a marketer, I think all of us have very open eyes, right? And we see what's happening in the world, like things that will impress us. We think, be it our, something we consume or be it our competition, if something impresses us, then we'll try to do that too. So yeah, that goes on.
Okay.
Yeah.
So again, the same question goes to Ravi, but Ravi, if I look at it, you're at the epicenter of innovation because you are involved with the tech industry, right? So again, technology, we cannot deny the fact. Technology is changing the way we are doing things. So again, what is your perspective of innovation, your perspective of adaptation of innovation, how we are, see, if you really look into it, we Nepalese population are very into, these technology and social media, and we've got a very high penetration of mobile phones and internet. So how do you look into it? How do you think it's impacting the marketing and branding fraternity?
Okay, so I'll divide this question into two. So I think what we just heard is more about trends and creating trends. You can pick up from a trend and you can replicate that trend or create something around that. And the other thing is like Asra mentioned, creating a new trend where she was probably, I was your agency that time, maybe, yeah. So creating influencers or coining the term influencers in Nepal. I think innovation comes as a marketer for me is more like Suraj was telling, you need to be alive and awake. Everything that happens in your life on a daily basis, if you can connect dots, you will be able to find innovation. And you will, knowingly, unknowingly, you will be able to create an idea or create a concept with that particular event that happened to you. And I think tech is something like that. So if you talk about the new gen tech, everybody's talking about AI, right? So what's an AI? It's everything that we're doing, and it's evolving every day, right? It's an experience, right? It's experience of human race on data servers recorded every single day, and it's giving you that same set of information in a very structured way. That is innovation. That is what Google is doing today. I mean, you talk about Gemini, like we've done like millions and millions of voice training over our Android phones. That's what Google is using to create Gemini, right? So it's every single thing that you do in your life. If you think that you feel happy about that thing, or you've accomplished something from that thing, I think as creative people, you'll be able to connect that same particular thing for a brand or for an advertisement, for a tech in the near future. So you need to be awake, you need to be in the room, you need to listen to all the ideas, and you'll be able to innovate.
Okay. Thank you so much, everyone, for the thoughts on innovation. So I think it's time for us to take the questions. If any audience members have some questions to the panel. Okay, we have a few questions, and we'd like the panel members to, briefly, because I think we are also almost at the end of our given time limit. Thank you so much. So I'll ask the questions, and I don't know if the question has been directed to a particular person. I don't think so. So it says, the first question, I don't know who is it from because the name is not there. If you recognize your question, you can raise your hand or you can stand up and we can answer your question directly to you, okay? So the question says, digital marketing is giving opportunities to many startups and SMEs where they bypass research and traditional advertising, which is way more costlier. Do you think they get a roadblock after a couple of years? Let me repeat the question once again. Digital marketing is giving opportunities to many startups and SMEs where they bypass research and traditional advertising, which is way more costlier. Do you think they get a roadblock after a couple of years? So would anyone like to take that question? Does anyone from the audience recognize his or her question? Please, could you please stand up? Or yeah? Yours? Okay, please. So would anyone like to take that question? Was it? Ravi, yeah, Ravi, digital marketing, please.
Yeah, so I think what digital has done is like it has enabled small companies or SMEs, micro SMEs, startups to put your brand out there to the right audience, right? So in 2 years or 3 years, in 4 years, if you don't become a brand which is able to cater the mass, then digital marketing cannot help you. It's the product or service that you're catering is not good enough. And that is the reason why you're dying. It's not, you're not able to go to, if you create a very good product or service, you will grow because digital marketing will give you the initial audience. You'll be able to, target directly to these audience. And you will have the early adopters like Punam said. And beyond that, you will have to go to all mass communications. And if your product and service is very, very good, you will be able to afford them. If it is not, you will die and you will be cornered. So it's very simple. As I said earlier, marketing is marketing. It's nothing to do with the new ways or new trends. Yes, digital has enabled the marketers or the small players to showcase their product to the early adopters or the right audience. But at the end of the day, you will have to go mass, and for that, you will need to have the best product or service to cater to the market.
Yeah, Asra.
I don't think you can be always sure that the numbers you are seeing digitally are true. So many times I've seen that the ad that I had flown out in Meta have worked really well according to Meta numbers. But when I did a dipstick and went around, so many people have not seen it. So you can't be sure. Numbers don't always speak the truth. You have to make sense of it, and research will always be necessary, be it digital or not.
Okay. Saurav, yeah.
So just like to add upon what Ravi is implying over here. Digital marketing, it's not sufficient for a certain kind of product. For example, if you are into FMCG, solo digital marketing through whatever funnel you use, it's not sufficient because you will have to be present at the point of purchase. That's where the moment of truth is. And you'll have to have some intervention, be it from visibility, from it outdoor, or some kind of interaction or engagement with the consumers at the moment of purchase through your POSMs, right? So digital marketing could be the only way out for a startup which is looking for a service, trying to, right? Or a B2B product, which directly goes to the e-com or Q-com, for example, that digital marketing will solve the problem through its funnel. But if you're more into FMCG, more into elaborate marketing, then digital marketing will not be sufficient, and the bottleneck will definitely come over a period of time. Yes.
Okay. Any other thoughts from the team? Yeah, Abhaya.
I would just like to clarify to the madam that we talked so much about research. हरेक डिसिजन गर्न रिसर्च गर्नुपर्छ भने होइन हामीले हरेक रिसर्च पनि तपाईको त्यो 10 लाख र 15 लाख खर्च गरेर मात्र रिसर्च हुन्छ भने होइन रिसर्च probably my team must be knowing that what I'm going to tell now तपाईले रिसर्च तपाईले कुनै प्रोडक्ट तयार गर्दै हुनुहुन्छ as a startup then तपाईले आफैले रिसर्च गर्न सक्नुहुन्छ okay this is the product that I'm trying to launch or this is the service I'm trying to launch then you understand from the similar guys who's already offering that you yourself can do that you can have your subordinate or you can have your colleague to do that go and talk to the people who are offering a similar product or services in the market already and understand them talk to them so when I said research it need not be that you need to have a AC Nielsen or a Kantar or spend 20 million rupees or 15 lakh rupees no तपाईले जुन सुरु गर्दै हुन्छ अघि भन्नुभयो the way I could understand I'm just trying to clarify research नगरिकन you just try to go with the digital research is again that your product or service that you're trying to develop somebody else is already doing that offering that service similar to that or you think it's better than the one that is already there in the market you go and talk to that people who are using it you send your colleague to understand 5 or 10 people who are already using that product or the services. That's also research. You need not spend, million rupees to do the research all the time. So it's just like probably you need 5 man, days and understand that, okay, this is what I'm trying to give. Somebody else is giving that. Now my idea is that whether this idea or this service would sell, you talk to them, you go, meet the people, meet the consumer, understand, and that's also research. I'm just trying to correct that research भन्ने बित्तिकै फेरि कान्तारलाई ल्याउनु पर्यो निल्सनलाई ल्याउनु पर्यो 20 लाख दिनु पर्यो होइन तपाई हामी आफै पनि रिसर्च गर्न सक्छौं थ्यांक्स
Punam
I would also like to point out the fact that research गर्नलाई पैसा खर्च गर्नु पर्दैन जरुरी छैन स्टार्टअपले नै पैसा खर्च गर्नुपर्छ even as big companies हामीले रिसर्च गर्नलाई आजको दिनमा AC Nielsen छैन भन्दैमा I would like to differ from the fact that you don't do research. You do have teams who go and find out data from the market. You do have teams who go and visit to see the availability of your product. Hamro sector, at least automobile, we always have a database with us where our customer care service team can always give a call and find out information. So, tapaharko startup ko context ma pani, it's more about what makes you stand out, what is your product strength, and how you are perceived among your customers. And then you use digital as your strength to take it forward. Just find the right way to get the insight from the market and take it forward. That's how it should be.
Okay. So without wasting time, I'll go to the next question. The next question is a very, very brand specific kind of a question. The question says, and again, if you recognize your question, please raise your hand or please stand up, okay? The question says, a more convenient brand name for consumers is typically short and easy to remember, like Meta, Khalti, okay? However, a longer, meaningful name can also be effective if it clearly conveys the brand's purpose and value. What do you have to say on that? Does it make sense, or do you think that the brand name has to be short and sweet and very easy to remember? I think every one of us has worked in that particular sector, and we have done researches with the brand names as well. So how do you have to, Abhaya? For example, Pro Style, did you think that it had to be short, or did you think that Dabur Amla hair oil makes more sense?
So we understood the style quotient is, very, very important for men. So we said pro style. Out of the 17 brand names that we went to the consumers, top 3, probably pro style was number 2. But like, we understood the insights, for men, style is very, very important. So pro style, goes well with the brand. To coming back to the question, सजिलो ठ्याक्क भन्न सक्ने छ भने that's the best ni. Lot of long brand name is also popular. I would give a Asra's brand. We don't say Coca-Cola probably, we say Coke, right? That's actually it's Coca-Cola. We say Coke. Reebokले त्यो Reebok पुरै लेख्दैन अब त्यो 3टा लेटर छ all of us know, I mean like shorter ठ्याक्कै भन्न सक्ने त better हो सायद.
के communicate गर्न खोजिरहेछ हैन. I'll give you an example of a Nepali brand, Himalayan Java. All of us go there. We call it Java, but we know the brand name Himalayan Java, and it exactly communicates what it wants to communicate. It exactly relates to its customer. So it depends. Short हुनै पर्छ भन्ने छैन, भयो राम्रो.
Yes, Saurav. So, have you thought of coming up with very long names for your products?
Product जस्तो भयो पनि irrelevant of whatever the brand name is, the most important thing that the brand needs to understand is your asset that you create out of the brand logo or a symbol or a jingle or a sound or a picture or a color has to be carried out across all the brand communication and messaging, and that's where your brand will be established, irrespective of whatever the brand name is.
Okay, so I'll take the second last question here. The question says, again, no names, so if you recognize your question, please do stand up so that we can specifically answer to you. As you can measure sales from revenue, how do you measure branding? It's a very, 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 this is the kind of question that the company owner asks the marketing manager. How do you measure branding? Or how do you measure the impact of branding? Yes. Yeah, sort of.
So there are various ways to...
Mike.
There are various ways to measure, how to evaluate a brand. What is the brand weightage that you carry? In simplistic terms, it's known as brand equity. Equity is what consumers understand out of your brand versus the positioning that you want to portray your brand towards the consumers, right? And the smaller the gap, the higher the brand's value becomes. Right? So one is the measure, the difference between the positioning of the brand, the way you want to portray the brand towards the consumer, and the way the consumers understand the brand equity. So lesser the brand, lesser the gap, better it is, and higher the brand value is one. There are various measures, like for example, Kantar says it's a brand power, some will name it something else, brand score, right? So it depends on what you are calculating, how you are calculating, and what stage the brand stands in. So it depends on, there are a lot of theories and practicalities to it. If you go into deeper understanding, it will take a lot of time. So basically, what I wanted to say is the difference between your positioning and equity is the measure of the brand. That's it.
Okay. Punam.
For brands, I think it's mind share more than market share. It's how you measure what mind gap that you're taking. And I think most of the companies use a simple method called brand track survey, which defines how people perceive you, whether you are at the top of the mind or not, or whether they need the aid to recall your brand. So it's all about taking out that mind share and giving the data there. Okay.
So I'll take the last question because I don't want to miss out on this because we're already, we've exceeded the time and Nischal is giving me the time out signal. So last question says, is it possible for someone without a strong financial background or a network of friends to achieve success in business? Maybe this is very relevant in our Nepalese context. Can we be successful without a network of friends and strong financial background if you want to do a business? Yeah, please, Ravi.
So, I think the entrepreneur inside me just woke up. So, and I always say this, trust me, it comes from a very personal experience that Nepal is 100% ready for startup, but not ready at all for scale up. It's a very small market, and we want to do, as entrepreneurs or startups or small companies without a lot of funds, like rightly said, we want to become $1 million company in 5 years. but we don't have a market for a $1 million company. So if you have limited budget, limited resource, try to see if there is a market in Nepal or not. If there is no market in Nepal to become a $1 million company, try to find that market and launch your product accordingly. Otherwise, again, Nepal is very, very good for startup, not ready to scale up.
Abhaya, 30 years in the market, do you think?
Specific
Please,
to this
please.
question.
Please.
Whoever is asked this question with a small funding or financing backup and a network of people, just go back to the Google and understand how Steve Jobs has started his business, the Apple. Just you go to the Google and understand. I think he started that in the
Garage.
dorm, or garage. Wasn't that Steve Jobs, how he started business?
I think Bill Gates and everyone started like that only, very
So
humbly.
probably, if you have that, dream to start a business with limited financing and all that, read the, Apple's, how Apple was started.
Okay. Anyone else? Yeah. So I think with this, we come to the end of the panel discussion. I think great insights from our panel members. And to conclude, we understand, and I think the audience has understood there are a few takeaways like, research, definitely very important. From the agency's point of view, from the client's point of view, from the product's point of view, and from the consumer's point of view also. Yes, we have a lot of challenges in a country like Nepal. Some may even consider our being landlocked to be a big challenge. But again, we can look at it from a very positive aspect, like we are in between two most biggest economies, China on the north and India on the south. So maybe we can take advantage of that. So if you look at it positively, so that perspective again is a very important aspect. From a branding and marketing, yes, there are challenges, but with the growth of international exposure, with the growth of international innovation, I think we are trying to keep up as much as possible, with digital things and technology. And with that, I think we will be able to shorten the gap in due course of time. And like rightly said by all the panel members, there is a human resource issue. There is a human resource problem, which is a very, very technical problem. It's a chicken or the egg question, whether they are leaving the country because there is no opportunity, or now the opportunity is being lost because they are leaving the country. So there's a big question mark out there. But still, for those who plan to stay back or those who plan to make a career in Nepal, I think we can still, I don't want 4 people out of 10 saying that I'm into marketing because I'm scared of finance. They should be able to say that I'm in finance because I understand finance and I want to make a career in finance, and there is a scope in finance. Marketing. There is a scope in marketing, and I'm not here because I'm scared of finance. Okay, so those are some of the challenges. Innovation definitely taking place very, very rapidly, and we are trying to cope up. Like I said, we're trying to close the gap. And to all the people from the marketing field and from the non-marketing field, I think this should be a very important aspect to keep in mind before you go for the next DV form. So with this, we conclude, and thank you very much again for giving out great insights on the marketing fraternity, on the branding, and let's look at brands and beyond from now on. Thank you very much. Thank you. A round of applause to all the panel members.